Hi, Cliff Sewell. Welcome again to the Magical Mindset Podcast. My guest today, we're going to talk about fitness. And he is a ex-professional sports person, ex-rugby league player, but has really developed into the world of fitness and health. But what we're really going to dive into, which I'm really passionate about, is not just fitness physically, but fitness mental health, because it's all so connected and he gets it and he talks about it really well. So I'm excited by this conversation because I think there's lots going to come out of it.
If you put all your eggs into one basket, which ironically is what I did, if it fails, well, then what? Exercise, fresh air, nature is all going to boost your feel-good hormones, get you feeling better, get you looking better. Your testosterone level is going to drop naturally past 25, 30 years old. It's going to decline from that age onwards. But lifestyle choices will also lower it as well.
Jonny Grayshon. Jonny, good morning.
Morning, thanks for having me on.
So we're going to talk around lots of different things, but I'm a little bit obsessed in what we're going to cover here because I think I hope I get the right description. You are a professional fitness instructor. Is that fair?
Yeah, you could say that.
You're a professional fitness instructor. We're obviously going to talk about fitness and fitness instruction, about what you do now. But we had a conversation this week and offline about my thoughts on lots of myths and content that's put about fitness instruction and PTs and whatever. So I want to talk about that. But what I always do on the podcast and each one is for people to listen to what you're going to talk about. They always want to get to know you first. So give us a snapshot of life so far. How have you got to where you are today? Well, a little bit about childhood, growing up, and and what's created you as the person you are today.
Okay, so I'm from Bradford. Grew up in Bradford. Did all the normal stuff as a kid. Older brother. Got into rugby league for his main hobby, following in like his dad's footsteps. I was about 10 when I started playing rugby. And then from fairly early on, we started getting into like representative rugby for a town, county, country, all at amateur level. And then that kind of progressed as I got older and made my way through high school. Started. It was obvious, or it was clear I was going to probably go into professional sport with the kind of progress I'd had. So long story short, I got signed by Huddersfield Giants.
Just before we go there, because I'm always intrigued on this, you, through childhood, within the family, because as you know, I know your brother as well. Within the family, was it a very structured, disciplined? Because nobody becomes a professional sports person on just talent alone.
Mm.
There's a whole load of discipline and structure around that. Was the family unit really structured to enable you to do that, or did you just have it in you? How did it all come together?
Not overly structured. My mum and dad were both into the healthy lifestyle, bit of sport, but nothing obsessive. They weren't, pushy parents or anything like that. It was just, I guess back then, 30 years ago, we didn't have all the screens and everything else that you've got today and all the different choices and options. So it was just play out, play rugby or football, and that was kind of it. So we just led a normal life, active outdoor life. And because my dad played rugby, my brother, who's a couple of years older, got into rugby a year or two before me. So I just naturally went down with them, played rugby, enjoyed it. And, you make a lot of friends and a lot of guys from the same school are going, and you just fall into that kind of groove. And that's kind of what you just end up doing. I had a really supportive mum and dad because they would take me to all my training sessions, take me to all my games. So that was probably a massive contributing factor there, that I could get there every week. And yeah, just started having success quite early on, whether it was because of the team we were in and we had a good team, or
When you were going through high school, and you said you went through high school and then progressed and you signed a professional. Did there become a point at high school when you were going through 14, 15, 16 when you thought, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a professional rugby player"?
Uh, y- yeah, I always leant towards that idea because I was never massively academic. I didn't hate school, but I didn't love school, and the thought of going to university or anything like that I just knew that wasn't for me.
Uh-huh.
I'm more of a practical, hands-on, physical type of person rather than a sat at a desk type person. So,
If there's a parent out there now that's got a son or a daughter
mm,
who, and I know life's changed and I know life's moved on, whatever,
mm,
but there's a parent out there at the moment and their daughter is 40, 50 and is good at a particular sport and is genuinely good at it.
mm,
And they're saying to their parent, I'm going to be a professional sports person.
mm.
Lots of other people would go, oh, for goodness sake, no, it's too hard. Don't go for it. Get a backup plan, whatever. You've been there. What would you advise?
I think it's about managing their expectations, and let's say the child is obviously really good and excelling above everyone else. Then, as a parent, I would encourage and not push, but do all I could in my power to make sure they could get the sessions done and blah blah blah. But also like manage their expectations at the same time, and try and give them a balanced view of there's more to life than whatever sport they're going into, because it depends what sport they're going into, because like for rugby example, it's not the most well paid job. It's not exactly like football.
Mhm.
So if you put all your eggs into one basket, which ironically is what I did, um, if it fails, well then what?
Right.
So I guess I'm contradicting myself because I did do exactly that. I put all my eggs into the rugby basket, and it paid off.
But if you'd not put all your eggs into one basket, the chances are it wouldn't have ever happened. The point I'm trying to make is that I have a daughter who's of a certain age who's going into hopefully to professional sport, a different, not rugby, into professional sport. But it's within schooling or other people around her who'd go, there's got to be a plan B. But I often look and go, if there's any percentage of plan B, that's really, really going to affect whether it'll happen or not. Does
Yeah,
that make any sense?
yeah, I agree.
Surely that's the same with training that we'll talk about.
I agree. It's there's a fine line in the between. So, for example, for me, I knew I was going to get signed. I had confirmation from Huddersfield Giants, which was my first club. I was going to get signed professionally, but I was bridging the gap between year 11 at school and my first full time professional contract. And it was the time I was due to go into college or sixth form.
Yeah.
So I moved into sixth form at school and just chose to do art A level because that was my favourite subject. And kind of in the back of my head, I knew I didn't need it because I'd been pretty much told I was getting this contract. But at the same time, I kind of thought, well, I need something just in case.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, don't distract yourself from the main goal.
Yeah.
But I think it's healthy as well to have a little bit of a broader outlook.
Mhm.
Just in injury or anything could happen, couldn't it?
So you got signed by Huddersfield.
Hmm.
Just tell us about the rugby career then.
So signed there, progressed into at that time you were in the academy, which was like the reserve grade. Progressed fairly quickly within about a couple of years. Into first team, we had Tony Smith at the time. He was our coach. He was a great coach and known for giving like the youngsters a chance. So he's very fair with the youngsters, the fringe players. So I got plenty of game time. Soon after that, he changed my contract and extended it. So I was at the Giants for 5 years in total in the first team. After that, within that time, Tony Smith left and went to the Leeds Rhinos.
And won everything.
So yeah, so the coach who had all the faith in me, who gave me my longest contract, left during that contract.
Right.
Another coach came in. We didn't exactly get on. Everything changed. I didn't get as much game time, and I needed to get away from the club because it was going downhill pretty quick.
So what people right? So there's something I want to pick up on there that people may think about. Right, whatever you said about Tony, and I'm looking if I met Tony a number of times. You say he's a great coach,
Hmm.
and then a new coach came in, and I don't know who that was, but and you and he didn't get on, and it
Hmm.
doesn't mean he's a bad coach or
Hmm.
whatever. You know, right. Why was Tony? And hindsight now, as you're older and you do coaching yourself, why was Tony such a great coach?
Well, from my perspective, I was, me and a few of the younger guys, we were fringe players. We were just earning our stripes compared to the senior, well-established, full-time main, go-to players. But if you were, regardless of your age or experience, if you were performing, you got a chance.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe some coaches might lean towards the stars,
Uh-huh.
regardless of how they're performing.
Yeah.
Which Tony didn't do that.
So you see him as
It gave me a fair chance,
right.
and because I had a good streak with him, he was happy to keep playing me, which is fair.
And the new coach came in, didn't work.
Yeah,
Was that
whether
you?
it
Was
was
that him? Bit of both.
maybe just personality clash.
Yeah.
Let's just call it that.
Right. Years on, you're older, you're wiser, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah.
Would you deal with it different? If you could take all the experience you've got now, would you act differently?
Probably not. I
No.
don't think,
No.
because it felt like a dead end.
Uh-huh.
It was a dead set personality clash, and
Yeah.
it was a time in my career where I was, early 20s, and that's like a big tipping point for whether you're going to continue to progress and make a name for yourself or fizzle out.
Mhm.
So it was quite vital that I kept playing, kept my first team appearances, and kept learning my my craft. And I was just getting into the groove, and then I kind of been blocked. That's
Yeah.
what it felt like. So I ended up speaking to Tony, not expecting him to take me to Rhinos, but saying, "What can you do to help?" He knew the situation. At the time, we had connections at London Broncos. Brian McDermott, who was at
Yeah.
Rhinos.
He's now in Australia, isn't he?
He used to be on the coaching staff with me and Tony at the Giants.
Yeah.
So I'd worked with Brian, who'd then gone to the Broncos,
Mhm.
the Harlequins at the time. So we had connections, and just so happened they had a spot available, and I ended up moving down to London.
Mhm.
And spent 3 years at London.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like big life change, moving down south, away from everyone and starting all over again. And mid-table team, they were amazing, but I didn't have any other options. So
Did you enjoy it?
yeah, I enjoyed it. It's always good to work with a new coach and get new ideas, new players. You learn off the senior players, a lot of high-level Australians. The thought of going to London, you think it's like living right in the middle of the city, like on the tube and all that, big buildings and all, right in the concrete jungle. But it's not like that. It's more classed as Surrey.
Yeah.
So it's very green, very open. You can drive around in your car.
Yeah.
All the things I thought you wouldn't be able to do. So that was fine, and I could commute up and down to Leeds whenever I needed to. But after about 3 years, I got a bit tired of hanging around with the Aussies all the time, and nothing against Aussies.
I'm sure there was nothing aimed at Australians.
Nothing against Aussies at all. Just it's not home.
Yeah,
it's not home. So I think I was just ready to come home after 3 years. So at the time, I had an agent. We were looking around clubs up north, and at the time, the championship teams which is the league below, were offering full-time money for part-time rugby.
Mhm.
So you could go to a top 6 championship club for fairly good money, training twice a week.
Right.
And it wasn't the fact that I didn't want to train and I only wanted to train twice a week. It was the fact that you could be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah.
And as I was coming towards the back end of my career, and I'd always played for mid-table teams. You win some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some. the idea of going to a successful team, even albeit a league
Yeah,
below,
yeah, yeah.
was seemed like a good choice at
Uh-huh.
the time. So I dropped down to Featherstone, and I think we lost 6 games in 3 years.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
So
Gives us an idea.
we
Hang on.
pretty
So,
much won
so
every
for
week.
people who aren't rugby league fans, so you've lost this game out of how many?
Let's say there's, I don't know, 20 with cup games, 20 or 25 games in a season.
So you've lost 6 out of 75.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. So it gives people the context of
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So we were winning every single week pretty much. Which to finish your career on is a nice because after Featherstone I'd retired.
Uh-huh.
So we had a lot of success, won some medals. Ironically got very good coaching at Featherstone with Darryl Powell,
Right.
who was now he's at Wakefield now, isn't
Right. Yeah.
he? And yeah, had a great time.
Overall, then, from school, 10-year rugby career, is it something like
Yeah, 12.
12-year rugby career? Did you enjoy it? What were the high points?
Probably the big games we won at Featherstone.
Yeah.
Um, the big games in Super League, the massive,
Mhm.
going to Wigan, going to Rhinos on a Friday night, all that stuff. The Challenge Cup games. Um, as a general overview, yeah, very lucky to be doing a hobby.
So when you think about that, to give some context of, you're a professional sports person. You're in front of crowds and atmosphere, but it's not football. With the greatest respect, it's not football. You're
Mm.
not multi-millionaire status, and I assume you can still walk down the main street of Leeds and Featherstone without getting mobbed as a rugby league player. Um, did you? What did you learn from that as a person? People on the outside who have never been a professional sports person, did you learn a lot as a person doing that?
I think rugby league's very working class sport, and there's no god complex associated with any rugby player. If
Yeah,
you meet any rugby player, they're just
yeah,
working class, doing what they love and not thinking much more about it.
mhm.
So, in terms of what I learned about the professionalism, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's people will look at it. There were people of at the time when you're a professional rugby player for and you're getting paid to play a sport. You're getting paid to have fun, effectively. That's what people will see. Did you acknowledge that at the time? Did you realise that? And now I won't say lucky because I don't think you got to work hard. There's a load of discipline. But did you understand the privilege you were in?
So it's like a double-edged sword
Right.
to that because, yes, on one hand, you're only realistically you're training for a few hours a day, and then you go home. You're done by lunchtime. You're exercising for a living.
Yeah.
You're getting 1 or 2 days off a week. Then you're playing on a weekend. You're playing the game you love.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all fun and easy, if you like.
Yeah.
Other than the actual hard fitness work.
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting 3 guys, bash you around all weekend. But then you've got the pressure of performing, um, maintaining your spot, and all the pressure that comes with that.
Yeah.
So that was a constant battle for me.
Yeah.
And it was, as a player, we don't think, or I certainly didn't think about how good's this. All these people are watching me, and it was on the game day. Like you might as well be playing in front of no one because you don't really notice them.
Right.
It's like, where do I need to be? What do I need to be doing? What's my game plan?
Yeah.
What's my job? So
I think that's the point I was trying to get because people will see professional sport and think it's just sunshine and flowers. It's amazing,
Yeah.
you're a godlike individual. But what's interesting there that you said when on the game day, the crowd or whatever that wasn't really key to what you were doing. You knew you were there to do a job, but it was just about playing rugby and then
yeah.
getting
So
away.
as soon as you kick off, it's just silence.
Is it?
Yeah. You might get the odd stoppage
Yeah,
in a game, and play breaks down, and you have 2 minutes. Referee's doing something, someone's injured, and you might notice the crowd for a split second. But no, it's all about you know, concentrating on your job at
See,
the.
this is what I love when I talk to people like you because, yeah, there's super elite footballers and whatever, and I just think that it's so you're playing a professional sport in front of a crowd, and everybody looks at you as a professional sports person. So here's a question: when you're playing and you make a mistake, does it go through your mind that the people in the crowd are shouting whatever? Right, that's
No,
I'm
no, because you don't. You literally, for me, and I'm sure a lot of players would agree. You're not aware of the crowd.
right.
Like you just zoned in on what you need to be doing. So let's say you make a mistake. So that's one big lesson I learned through rugby.
Yeah.
Because I always made mistakes. Um, no, whenever you make a mistake, you've got to be able to put your hand up and address the mistake you've just made and own it. And then the team is straight on it. And how can we rectify it? How can we put it
Yeah.
right? So it's something I'm always talking about the kids to.
Right.
If you've done something wrong, just admit it. Or if you just pull your hand up and address what you've done, and then we can just move on. So that was probably one of the earliest lessons I got from rugby.
And do you think right? Okay, so that's something you would share, and again, so that's perfect for where I was going. Right, so you're playing an elite level sport, whatever, and so you take that learning into everyday life, and you would tell everyone,
Yeah, one of them. One
yeah,
of them. Yeah, yeah. Just being honest and accept if you've made a mistake. It's just a mistake. But the quicker you address it and like lean into the problem, the quicker you can address it and fix it.
right,
Where instead of burying your head in the sand, blaming somebody else, which is what happens in normal day life, right? There's a lot of people that will look to blame others or turn their back on it and ignore the fact that something's happened and hope it goes away. Well, if you just say, right, this has happened, it's fine, it's mine, I did it, right, fine, right, what can we do now? And that's very much what happens on a rugby pitch.
that's something I'm always talking about. And so you've got a real live example there about sport playing sport is that we do things in life where we make mistakes, and it's you say then you've just got to own it and move on, and I agree. But where a lot of people, I think, struggle when it comes to mindset, motivation, whatever, they then create this noise around what other people think and what other people are going to say that almost paralyzes them from moving forwards. And I guess in sport, on a rugby field, if you make a mistake, like you say, and then you're then worried about what the 1,000 people in the stand think, that's never going to get you anywhere, is it?
No, worrying about, well, it's like worrying about anyone's opinion has got no impact on the actual result of what needs to happen or what you need to fix. Whether it's like when people worry about, it's like when a lot of people will worry about what if. Well, no matter if you spend all day worrying about what if or what someone thinks, it's not going to change anything. And you're just wasting all that energy and making yourself stressed out and anxious.
Before we go into that, because this is where I want to get to, I wanted you to share, so now people know who you are, the background, and whatever. So, snapshot. Tell us what you do now, where you've got, or just coming out of rugby, how you've evolved to where you are now.
So going back to when you said, should you put all your eggs in one basket and concentrate on sport, or should you have other options, blah, blah, blah. So I went all in on sport and it paid off. And then towards the back end of my career, you start thinking, right, now I need something because this ain't going to last forever and I'm going to have to get a real job
Yeah,
one day. There was a players' union that you could be a member of, and they would offer support, legal aid, whatever you needed, and education.
yeah,
So during the back end of my career, you could stay behind and study. So they'd get teachers, whatever you come in
mhm,
and teach whatever you wanted to get qualified. Because I'd always enjoyed the training side of it, it just seemed like a natural progression to go into the gym, health, fitness, conditioning, that side of it. But I never wanted to be a strength and conditioner like within rugby. I didn't want to stay in rugby because of just the demanding hours, the weekend, all the work on the weekends, and I was happy to leave rugby and move into the next chapter.
yeah.
So I moved to personal training.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was the most natural progression. So I learned to be a personal trainer, and then overlapped because I was at Featherstone, where you could work during the day if you wanted. I started overlapping my rugby career with personal training in a gym and getting my hours up, gaining experience in a gym until I eventually retired from rugby when the kids came, when I was 30. And by that point, I had enough clients to retire and move into a full-time job, personal training.
You now have your own gym.
Yeah.
You have your own personal training
y-
practice.
Yeah.
How long you been doing that? How long you had your own?
So this is like 10 years ago
Right,
so I retired at 30 and now I'm nearly 42.
right.
So within that time, I've worked in a gym, relocated across town, started at another gym, relocated again, moved premises, moved bases, like moved around a little bit till eventually um, getting my own studio, and where I've been about 3 years now, 3 or 4 years.
Just we talked before, but just so and to give us context, you were telling me how your day works at the moment because you've evolved from one-to-one personal training. You've developed a new way of making it work for you. Just give us a 30-second so people understand what you do every day now.
So instead of being one-on-one personal training, I do small group personal training.
Yeah.
So which allows you to condense your diary and serve more people within an hour and make it cheaper and more accessible for the public.
Yeah.
So instead of charging high price one-to-one, the client can pay less, train more, train in a group setting, a little bit like a sporting environment, have more of a laugh with others, connect, build be part of the community, and um, and the audience effect from people watching them train and encourage means they get more out of the training as well. So the group setting is a win-win for everyone.
Fine. Right. So we know where we are. We know the background. We know the story. So these are the bits. So I see a lot of content because it's part of my job to watch all sorts of content. And physical fitness and mental fitness are completely joined together in my world. I think when I hear people who want to go, I want to go and get physically fit, I always say, well, before you go and start getting physically fit, just start on your mind first. You got to how you think, how you see, and how you talk to yourself. Anybody can go to a gym and sign a membership and never go. But because you've not dealt with the mind first. So, but I want to talk about fitness, mental and physical health. And the reason I'm really keen to do it with you because there's a load of content out there and there's some young guys and girls, and I'm not having a go at them early 20s who have come out of college, whatever, done and then are just fitness trainers. But I think yeah, it's quite easy to be fit at 21, 22, and I'm not having a go at them at all.
Mhm.
I think it's great that they're putting content out there.
Mm.
But there's lots of people who will listen to my podcast who are older,
Mhm.
and you've got families, you've got responsibilities,
Mhm.
and actually mentally your life changes.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to ask one question before I go into something. Obviously a 50 odd year old bloke. You're a 40 odd year old bloke. Men's fitness and women's fitness, same or huge difference of how you approach it and how you deal with it?
As a real general overview, it's the same. It's
Yeah,
the same. Most people just want to look better,
yeah,
don't they? They just want to look better. So aesthetically, it's a big tick box for men and women.
right.
Why they do it, or how they could do it, or the demands, the distractions they've got to deal with on that journey are very different.
You just said something there I'll pick up on. Because I think a lot of people avoid this and they avoid saying it. I want to get fit because I want to live longer and I want to be healthy and whatever. You said there, fitness, one of the key things is aesthetically and how you look. Um, should that be a driver for somebody? Should people go, because people say that's body shaming people, telling people they've got to look good or whatever. I've been fat. And I've no problem. I'm not going to talk about anybody else's body shape here. I'm talking about mine.
Mm.
I was a drunk and I was overweight. I still got a long way to go, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. My mental health is better when I look at myself in a mirror because I feel better about myself.
Mhm.
I think that could bring a whole load of criticism to me by openly admitting that. You're a trainer. You're a fitness person. What do you think to that comment?
I don't think aesthetics should be the driver. like you need to get fit so you look better. Like that's not a thing, but it is quite evident in all the people that I work with. If they look better by default from a healthier lifestyle, healthier habits, which ultimately they're doing to live longer, but as a massive benefit to all that, they're looking better. And then all of a sudden, when they start to look better, they realize that they might get more authority within the workplace, like colleagues might take them seriously. They're a little bit more serious. They might have um, the leading by example for the kids, so the kids might look up to them a bit more. So aesthetically, if you look better, you could argue that you will command more respect by everyone, colleagues, peers, friends, family. I'm not saying you will, but it's quite common to get that feedback off clients. So there's absolute no downfall to trying to look better, but it's not. I don't really encourage people to train to look better. I encourage people to train because of how it affects the mental health and the longevity. But by default, you are going to look better, and if you look better, you're also going to have all these extra benefits.
Yeah, because and again, it's open for criticism here. I I I think we've possibly gone a little bit too far in you're not allowed to talk about how you look and how you feel
Mm,
because that's offending somebody who doesn't
mm,
look slim or fit. That's not what I'm saying. But I know when I know I'm going on a journey to get myself fitter. I feel better.
mm,
If I feel better, my mental health is better. If
mhm,
my mental health is better, I act better.
mm.
Whole
It
thing.
all goes hand in hand. Yeah.
You said something else there about looking the part and going to fitness, but you almost if you go back to what you said 20 minutes ago, your mum and dad were both healthy and fit. There's no coincidence that your mum and dad were healthy and fit that you and your brother are healthy and fit.
Mm.
There's no, you know,
Yeah.
it,
Monkey see, monkey do.
yeah, it's I speak to some, yeah, I will say this. I speak to some parents that say, "Well, I can't get my child out the bloody bedroom. I can't get them off the PlayStation. I can't get them training." And if I'm in that way out, I'll go, "Yeah, but you go home and have a glass of wine, and read the Financial Times. What
Mm.
do you want them to do?"
Yeah. Yeah. Kids will. I think kids will copy more than they listen.
100%.
Um. So yeah, if you're talking about getting the kids fit, then I think by leading by example is the only way you can do it.
So I asked you a question about men's and women's fitness.
Mm,
The because of our age and whatever, one part I want to talk about, and this is fitness, and we can't avoid there is an ongoing and growing issue with men of a certain age within mental health. You know, we've got to accept that now in crisis. Now, we're not going to solve that today, but you're of a certain age that you will have had challenges in your life as family grow and whatever. How key is so I have a view on this, and I think fitness is absolutely. I run every day, I train every day, not to the level you do, of course. But how key as we're trying to manage this we're going to talk about men's mental health crisis. How key do you think fitness is in at the core of this?
massive, massive, massive part of it. Yeah, no doubt about it. Just from the endorphins that you get from training, the stress release, the hours time out break it gives you from cancelling all the white noise that you get, you have to deal with at work or whatever. Um, the issue with men's mental health as they approach that midlife crisis
Yeah,
age
yeah,
um, is linked to. I mean, it's linked to loads of stuff, right? But the state of the physical health is direct has a direct impact on mental health. So I mean, there's studies that show testosterone levels that drop as we get older is linked to depression, which is going to affect your mental health. So that's, if you've got poor lifestyle choices and you're overweight and you drink, this is going to affect not your testosterone level is going to drop naturally past 25, 30 years old. It's going to
right.
decline from that age onwards. But lifestyle choices will also lower it as well.
Yeah.
So as we approach 40, 50, the key age where suicide and men's mental health peaks is almost coincides with where testosterone's at an all-time low. So it's too much of a coincidence to say that they're not connected.
Well, it's not a coincidence, is it?
No.
Why can't we just get that noise out? It's not a coincidence.
No. So if, and that's, we're being really specific there on one thing, one hormone, which is, it is massively linked to it. But if you had a healthier lifestyle, you exercised, you looked after yourself, you did all you can to keep your naturally declining testosterone levels from declining quicker than they potentially would do, then that would lead to better mental health. So that's just one thing you can look at.
We'll talk about more. So I'm passionate about people having the right mindset and mental health, and I often hear it shouted for genuine reasons that men have got to talk more. Men who have got a problem have got to talk more. And I keep hearing this, and I keep hearing this, I keep hearing this. So yes, they do, but unfortunately, they're not. Right. So I'm not saying the message is wrong. The message is right. But just saying the message over and over and over again and not getting any results is not the right thing to do.
Mm.
So I'm now going to ask a professional fitness person, tell me I'm right or wrong. If somebody says to me, my husband, my brother, my dad has got a crisis, what should he do? I say, what he should do, in my opinion, so I can only talk about my life. When I got into absolute crisis, I wasn't going to reach out. But somehow or another, I don't know whether it was the universe, whatever, what it did, it got me to go outside. And I got into this really crazy world of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and listening to the birds. And that's all I did. And that's what I did. And literally that got by going out with an old pair of trainers on, and then I got a new pair of trainers. I just went out and walked every day.
Mhm.
And I then walked a little bit faster and then jogged and then got running.
Mhm.
That's what did it for me. Not reaching out. I'm not saying don't talk. I'm not saying that. But do you, as a fitness person, do you agree that should be the advice we're giving?
Part of it.
Right, okay.
Part of it, yeah, 100%. Like, again, exercise, fresh air, nature, is all going to boost your feel good hormones, get you feeling better, get you looking better, all the things we've just discussed. But I think, like you said, just telling men to talk more. I mean, one of the reasons women live longer than men is because women are more likely to go to the doctor when they think they've got something wrong with them. Women are naturally more likely to talk, whereas a guy won't go to the doctors because he thinks he can deal with it by himself. So just by saying to men, just talk more. Like, most guys don't want to tell anyone.
No.
Even if they broke the leg, they'd rather limp and
Yeah.
go to work,
So that's talk about physical, and that's talk about physical problems they won't talk. There are a huge percentage of men out there, when you start talking about mental health issues, they'll look at you as though, I'm not talking about that, I'm fine.
It's such a taboo.
And I look and I go, I can see you're not fine. And I don't want to make this a negative thing. What I want to do is have an open discussion, not with somebody who's giving loads of mental health jargon, but you're a fitness expert of a certain age who's been through challenges as a sports person. So I just want to have different challenges and different discussions about how do we deal with it? What do we do?
I think the support that is on offer at the minute is pretty much minimal.
Yeah.
There's one or two man clubs you can go to and have a coffee, which is great.
Yeah.
But there needs to be more of that and more different versions of that, because everyone communicates differently. Everyone responds differently. Everyone's comfortable with different things. So it can't just be a copy and paste. There's a coffee club, there's a coffee club, there's a coffee club. Go to your local coffee club, because not everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
So I think the responsibility is on friends and family. Like you said, you can see when people are in trouble. The responsibility is on those people just as much as the person that's struggling, to both communicate both ways.
Yeah.
So like if you're quite stable mentally and your life is all good, if you suspect that your friend's struggling, you should be able to address it without feeling like you're being soft and you're being a wimp by going, "Oh, are you all right?"
Yeah.
Because guys feel like you can't talk to each other like that
Yeah.
because you're soft, they're soft, we're not soft because we're men.
Yeah.
Stop crying. Let's go to a pub and have a beer
Yeah.
and talk about birds,
Right.
because that's what men do.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a mutual responsibility for healthy-minded people and not so healthy-minded people to have that two-way
Two-way
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Right, let's get into fitness. So I've got some. Everybody knows getting fit is a good thing to do. Everybody, yeah, they do. Right. But lots of people don't. What can you advise to get started? How do you create a plan? How do you get going? I call it about leaving the past behind. So you may not be overweight. You may want to, we know getting fit is going to help you at any stage in your life, but lots of people struggle to get on the right path.
Mm.
You're a professional, you've been a professional sportsman, so you stayed fit. You now train people. Give us some bits of advice to get people started.
So some really easy, low-hanging fruits. What everyone can do for free, which are massively overlooked, is like sleep. Huge factor. People just don't get enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, you're going to wake up tired, which affects your blood sugar, affects your mood, affects your food choices. It affects how much you move, which food choices and how much you move is the two main things that you need to do to lose weight. Most 3/4 of the nation are overweight, if not obese.
Mhm.
So most people need to lose weight. So if you're waking up tired because you've not addressed your sleep, you're already on the back foot that day, picking poor choices for foods, not being as active as you could be, not being asked to go and exercise, not walking because you drive instead of walk, or you take the easy option. So addressing your sleep.
How do you do that then?
So, well, I think most people kind of rebel on an evening because they've had a long/shit day.
Yeah.
They get home, the last thing, they need to defrag mentally. So they just stick Netflix on, and before they know it, they're binging 2 or 3 episodes and it's midnight and they're tired.
Yeah.
And then they go to bed knackered and then they wake up and they're already fucked.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to have a lot of you've got to be disciplined to start. But you don't. People think you have to make huge changes to see a huge change, a huge improvement. But the reality is, you only have to make little changes often to see a big result, compounding result. So it's just having that discipline. For example, that example I just gave you, having the discipline to get yourself to bed at a reasonable time. I mean, around 8 hours a night should be good enough for
Yeah,
everyone.
I was always want to try and asking that question of what's the right. But okay, so you've said around 8 hours. We're all different, and I know somebody will say I'm a night person, I'm a morning person, I'm that. Yeah, I get it. But you're saying, and that does seem to be from the health fitness world, that 8 hours,
Yeah,
there or thereabouts, is about right.
yeah. And on that, more importantly, going to bed at the similar time every night, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Not 5 days a week, Saturday and Sunday as well, and waking up at the similar time. So then your body clock is in a regular pattern, which is going to help prepare you to sleep every night, getting ready to go to sleep. You get people to say, "Oh, I'm not tired, I can't sleep." It's because they survive most of the week on some form of drug, caffeine or other drug, to get them through the day because they've slept so shit. So they're hooked on some kind of stimulant to function, and then they sleep like shit and they repeat. You sort your sleep out, you're not going to rely on all these stimulants, which is going to have a knock-on effect into the next night's sleep. So you have to make some changes to start with, but after the small changes initially, you almost start the cycle.
Getting to bed early. So that just jumps me into one. I used to be able to go to, I could go to sleep really, really easy if I've had 20 pints, just, but it's not proper sleep.
No.
That coming home from work, glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, 3 glasses of wine, whatever. And people are like, well, that helps me sleep. Yeah, I know full well that's not true. But what's your view on that from a fitness, sleep, alcohol point of view?
So the irony of the nightcap is it makes you feel drowsy. So you have a whiskey, a glass of wine before bed, and you can sleep better. Alcohol will disrupt sleep by up to 40%. 1 to 2 units of alcohol will disrupt sleep by up to 40%. So initially you feel tired, but once your body starts to metabolize the alcohol, you're not sleeping properly. So then you wake up knackered. And then poor food choices, because you need energy. You're tired, so your body wants energy. So it's going to get energy from fast digesting sugars, quick energy. Those fast digesting, I'm not saying sugar's bad, but usually the foods that you go for are also laced with fats.
Right.
So I'm not saying fats are bad, but sugar and fats, it's a high calorie choice.
I'm not going to complicate it because people like simple to start with.
Yep.
Food choices.
Yep.
So we're going to get some sleep.
Yeah.
Food choices, because I keep you said sleep, food choices, and training. We don't want to train. Food choices. Don't complicate it. Somebody just wants. Come on, Johnny. Give me the golden ticket.
The simplest thing ever, eat the rainbow. So as many colours as you can eat, not beige.
Right.
Which by default is going to be a ton of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, fibre. If you're filling your plate with fruits, vegetables, and other proteins, fats, and carbs that are coloured, varied colours, by default, you're going to load yourself with vitamins, minerals, fibre, all super filling the fibre, boost immune system, make you feel better, make you healthier. The main thing is the fibre from the fruits and the vegetables, which is going to keep you fuller. So you're going to be less likely to then want to snack on more.
Fruit is, I don't think there's any excuse not to eat fruit. It's easy. You can go to a shop and buy an apple, or you can go to a supermarket and buy a bag of apples. Fruit, and you don't have to cook it. It's there. You can eat it. So there's no, and people say, no, there's no excuse. And there is I can't believe that there is not some fruit that somebody would like, whatever. Vegetables, so you got this vegetable thing. Yeah, but I go into the vegetable aisle, I've got to cook them, I've got to prepare them, whatever. Has it got to be fresh vegetables, or can you go into the freezer section and buy frozen carrots, frozen broccoli, and whatever? Or have they got to find the time to cook?
So I think it's more important to think about the phrase that I like to use a lot, which is optimal is not always optimum. And that's the main thing you got to remember about nutrition. So what is absolutely perfect in a lab, like you've got to do it this way, this is the best way ever. Well, if your lifestyle means you don't have time to cook, you've got 3 kids, you work 2 night jobs, and you're socializing with clients every night, there's no way you're going to live by what all the studies are saying. And if you try, you fail after 2 days. So you think, what's the point? I can't do it.
Yeah.
There's no chance. I'm doomed. So yes, look at what's recommended, but how can you mold that into your lifestyle? So let's say we're supposed to get 10 grams of fiber per 1,000 calories. A little bit detailed, but just that would be pretty much 5 to 10 pieces of fruit or vegetables per 1,000 calories. Most people are on 2 to 3,000 calories. 20 to 30 pieces of fruit or vegetables a day. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No.
You say to people, drink 3 litres of water. They can't even drink 3 litres of water. That's what, 6 pints? They can go to a pub and drink 6 pints of beer in an hour.
Yeah.
But they can't drink 3 litres of water in a day. They just can't do it. So it's, all right, what can you do? Can you drink 1 litre? Yeah. Well, that's better than none, which you've been doing. So they're going to feel better for it. Can you eat 3 pieces of fruit or vegetables? How does it have to be cooked? It has to be cooked this way. Well, it could be fresh, it could be boiled, it could be raw, whatever. Just get it in you, and it's an improvement. So it's not about striving for 10 out of 10, because you'll set yourself up for failure.
1 out of 10, 2 out of 10.
Yeah, 1 out of 10. And then you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Right, now I'm going to try 2 out of 10.
Okay. Fitness. Don't have time I ain't got the money to pay a personal trainer. Don't have time to go to the gym every day. And I've got whatever. So, okay, we're going to take 1, 2 tips just to get people starting in regards fitness, whoever they are, whatever age they are, or however big or small or fit or unfit you are. Let's get people started.
Just to get started on moving more, literally, like you were saying, get outside and go for a walk. So the benefits of nature, the fresh air, downregulating your nervous system, So stress relief, getting some activity in, moving, great. Free, anyone can do it.
Right, so let's be clear. You're not a 21, 22-year-old influencer. You're not an academic. You are a professional sportsman who is now a professional trainer. Will you, because I know this, you'll now say to people, because people are just going out walking in the fresh air is going to make no difference. You genuinely believe it makes a
It
difference.
100% will.
Yeah.
It'll lift your mood, which is going to make you, it's going to have a knock-on effect with all your nutritional choices, your lifestyle choices. You're not going to reach for because most people's downfall is escapism, right? A lot of guys and women, midlife, they're choosing to drink, they're choosing to smoke, they're choosing too much porn or drugs because they want to escape.
Yeah.
They're trying to get away from their lifestyle for one reason or another. So by just getting out in nature, no technology, not on your emails, get out in nature, appreciate the nature, you're going to get a natural mood lifter, massive boost.
And it will make a difference.
Of course it will, because then if you're feeling better, you come out, you don't need to escape all of a sudden. You don't need to reach for the booze because you're feeling better. Life's not that bad. You don't need to gorge on fast food and get comfort that way. You've just you've got comfort from being outside. So that's the most basic, simplest, free thing you can do.
Right. I want to say that's it, because what I want to do from there is I've really enjoyed that chat, really enjoyed that discussion. But what's really important for me is that anybody listening or watching now has an understanding of who you are, what you think about, what you talk about, and your background. And so I think that's worked perfectly for what I want to do today. And I think that was a really, really good session. What I will say to people now is that Jonny and I'll get together again and we'll do some content that's much more specific, that's much more detailed, that isn't just it's a listen in the car of a podcast on the way to work, which we hope this is, where it's enjoyable and you can take a, but then we'll create some content that you're gonna have to sit down maybe at your desk and watch this and write some notes down, because I think we'll have far more traction on that because they know who you are. They're like, okay, right, he's a real bloke with a real life, got a real background. I'm going to listen to what he says. And I think that'd be great. So I've really enjoyed that. Exactly what I wanted. I hope you've enjoyed talking.
Thanks for having me on, yeah.
We'll look forward to getting you back and we'll get some real specific details that people can engage in.
It sounds great, yeah.
Jonny, absolutely loved it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Magical Mindset podcast. Please subscribe, leave a review, share around your network. I'm Cliff Sewell. See you next time.